Okay, so let's start from Chesed Shebachesed. This morning I gave you an introductory shir. The shir is already up. I put it up. So Chesed Shebachesed. What I want to do, I'm going to do each midah, but I'm going to do each midah twice. I'm going to try. Because as I said to you at the end of this morning's shir, is that when you say Chesed Shebachesed, or Gevura Shebachesed, or Chesed Shebagvura, or Gvura Shebagvura, or Chesed Shebetiferes, or Gvura Shebetiferes, the more important word is the second word. Because it's Chesed Shebe. The most important thing is Be Chesed. We're dealing with Midas HaChesed. The only thing is, in this case, Midas HaChesed is complicated, is qualified, is nuanced by another Midah. Chesed Shebechesed. Gvura Shebechesed.
That's the case, why is it said separate?
Because that's the way you speak in Hebrew.
Oh, right.
The mother of all good. The key word is the word good. The word mother is a qualifier. It comes first. And I don't know, every language has a different form. But in Hebrew, that's how it goes. So why am I going to repeat it twice? Because when you look at these groups of seven, the seven Chesed, seven Gevura, seven Tiferes, seven Netzach, seven Hoyt, seven Yisei, seven Malchus, the simple way to understand them is that the primary word, the word Chesed, is an action, the act of kindness. How that is decorated by the emotion of Chesed. The act of kindness was decorated by the emotion of Gevura. The act of kindness which is decorated by the emotion of Tiferes, and so on. And that's the logical, that's the simple way, you ask a person, an ordinary human being, how you would break down the 49 Sfiras, the 49 Midas, that's how you would do it. That the second word, which is the primary word, is describing a behavior. There's a behavior of Chesed, there's a behavior of Gvura, there's a behavior of Tiferes, there's a behavior of Netzach, there's a behavior of Hoyd, there's a behavior of Yisai, there's a behavior, there's an action of Malchus, which is qualified by a certain emotion. But you see in the Maimon of Sfiras Haomer, right? You have over here Yud Aleph, Tafshin Yud Aleph, the very first Lag Boim, they ever said a Maimer Sfatim. And he talks about the first Midas, Chesed, and he talks about Lag Boim, Heid Shebeheid. And the Rebbe makes it clear that both words are emotions. It's not that the primary word is an action, and the defining term is an emotion associated with an action, but it's an emotion within an emotion. So Chesed is an emotion. Chesed is how the emotion of Chesed is complicated by Chesed. Chesed is an emotion, and how the emotion of Chesed is complicated by Gvura. So we're going to talk through all seven Midas in one Midah, first in the simpler way, and then in the more complicated way. Okay? So let's talk about Chesed, assuming that Chesed is an action. Chesed means giving. I give you kindness. I give. I have, you don't have, and I give you. So, of course, the act of Chesed does not inherently contain a motivation. If Chesed means an action, if I give you $100, you don't know why I gave it to you. There can be many more. There can be negative motivations. So the first word, which is the secondary word, the complementing word, would be, I'm doing an act of Chesed out of Chesed. Chesed Shebechesed. I'm doing you a kindness out of love. Or Gvura Shebechesed. I am doing you a kindness out of judgment. My emotion, also Gvura. Gvura is judgment. You said before this morning correctly. Gvura means discriminating, but not discriminating in the racist sense, in the negative sense. Discriminating in the precise sense, discriminating in the discerning sense. In Yiddish, Fanande Kleiben sagt, the emotion of Gvura judges. And when the emotion of Gvura judges, it determines your worthiness. If you don't worth, I'm not going to give you. But if you are worth, I'm going to give you more. So Gevura Shebechesed means the emotion is judgment. The act is, I'm giving you a kindness because Gevura, the midah of judgment, determines that I should be kind. Or to say it in other words, you could make the argument that Gevura Shebechesed is kinder than Chesed Shebechesed. Because when I do an act of kindness out of love, love is considered in Chassidus a weak emotion. They always link ahava to mayim and gvura to eish. And one of the things which is brought of nimshach acharecha kamayim, and by that in other places you have in a gate yitzchak midas hagvura and that the shyness of Ishana Rabba, mayim is soft. So if we're going to define chesed as a behavior, a deed of kindness, the emotion of chesed means I'm doing an act of kindness out of love, out of softness. And Gevura Shebechesed means I'm doing an act of kindness based on a judgment. My emotion assess the situation. I'm feeling what, not just where you are, but why you're there. And on that basis, I'm giving you kindness. And then, of course, comes Tiferes. Tiferes, superficially, simplistically, is Rachamim. Right? I'm doing an act of kindness out of mercy, out of compassion. But if you're familiar with the Chassidus, you know that Kava Emtzoi, Tiferes and Yesoid, both are in the middle pole. And the rule about the middle pole is that it's emes, how the truth comes into the world, or how a formless truth manifests in the form of emotions. Rachamim doesn't mean I feel bad for you, because that's really just another chesed. Rachamim means I feel what you feel. Chesed means I decide your situation from a perspective of acceptance and love. Gvura means I decide this situation based on a perspective of judgment. And Tiferes means I feel what you feel. How can one person feel what another person feels? So of course the way Chassidus answers the question, ideally, because in the level of the neshama we're one. And that's what the Kava Emtzoi, that's what the middle pole is. The whole idea of the Kava Emtzoi is the formlessness in form, is that you can actually feel what another person feels. So again, maintaining the simple order, Chesed means an act of kindness. Tiferes Shebechesed means I'm doing an act of kindness because I feel your situation. Feeling the situation means maybe mitzat Chesed I should give it to you. Maybe mitzat Gevura I shouldn't give it to you because you don't deserve it. You're in a bad situation because you're a fool, because you're an idiot, because you made bad choices. Tiferes Shebechesed means even though you don't deserve, because I'm experiencing this situation at this particular moment, in the words of Rashi, B'negei Yishmol, Ba'asher hu sham, as you're feeling your life, it's a rachmanis on you, deserving and not deserving. And that's what the act of kindness is. So it's Chesed Shebechesed, Gvura Shebechesed, and Tiferes Shebechesed. Now what's Nesach Shebechesed? Nesach is a very different kind of emotion. Because the first three emotions are me feeling a situation. The second three emotions is me fighting off obstacles to getting something done. So Netzach Shebechesed means I have to give you something good. And there are things that don't want me to give you something good. And I'm fighting with them. Netzach means aggression. Netzach means determination. You can translate Netzach as victory. But Netzach is not the victory parade. Netzach is the energy of getting to the victory, overcoming all obstacles and making it happen. So if I need to get something kind to you, and it's difficult because you're very far away, because there's a lot of other people don't think you deserve it, or I think you don't deserve it. And my heart is saying, you can help that guy? But it's the right thing to do. So Netzach means I'm fighting, if necessary, with myself to bring to you an act of chesed. So again, the action, the maaseh is an act of kindness. The midah, which is the qualifier, the action of kindness, is determination and aggression, victory. I'm going to get this food item to you. I'm going to get this bottle of water to you. I'm going to get this piece of clothing to you, no matter what the cost, because I'm determined. That's netzach. Hoid is submission. Hoid means stubbornness in my book. Netzach and Hoid are both emotions that fight off enemies. The difference is Netzach is in Kava Yamin. Netzach is fighting off an enemy which is closer to Chesed. That's why it's aggression. I go to you. And Hoid is also fighting off an enemy, but it's in Kava Smoil. So because Hoid is an emotion of fighting off Kava Smoil, I'm not being aggressive. I'm just being unreasonable. I'm being stubborn. You just can't move me. I'm implacable. I decided I'm going to give you this kindness. No one's going to stop me. That's Hoid. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not even going to see you. I'm just going to be stubborn. Netzach means I'm going to fight with you. And mystically, Netzach is more superficial than Hoid, just like Chesed is more superficial than Chesed. Fighting with the enemy is acknowledging the enemy. Hoid means, okay, you're there. You may be hitting me, you may be beating me, you may be threatening my life. I'm going to do it. But the emotion that's going to bring the kindness from me to Ploini, Ben Ploini is an akshanis. It's a stubbornness. It's not an aggression. And like I said before, you can have that midah for yourself. You're not in the mood of being nice. You're not in the mood of doing a particular thing. And the motivation for doing it is I'm stubborn. I'm an action. Okay? Then we get to Yesod Shebachesed. And Yesod is like the fetters. It's the same thing. It's the middle pole. What is not included in aggression and stubbornness, right? Aggression is offensive war. Stubbornness is defensive war. What's not included? Yesod means I'm connected to the action. I don't see an enemy b'chlal. I don't see an enemy that I'm going to fight with. I don't even see an enemy against which I'm going to be stubborn. I only see an act. I know I have to get you, or whoever it is, this kindness. And I'm so tuned into the word Yesod in Chassidus is hiskashos, bond. A connection between a person and another person or a certain activity. So Yesod Shebachesed means it's not aggression, it's not stubbornness, it's connectedness. I am so connected to the act of kindness, all I see is the kindness. And if arrows are flying from all sides, I don't even see an enemy. In other words, Yesod is deeper than Hoy, just like a Hoy is deeper than Chesed. Netzach fights with the enemy. Hoy doesn't fight with the enemy, he just doesn't let the enemy get to him. Yesod doesn't see an enemy. Yesod just sees a mission, a mandate. I need to get this from here to here, and I'm so dedicated, I'm so connected to what I need to do that nothing stands in my way. That's called Yesod Shebachesed. Again, all assuming that we're defining Chesed as an act, as a maaseh. If Chesed is an action, Yesod Shebachesed is the emotion of feeling attached to the mission, dedicated to the purpose, and therefore I don't see an enemy. The enemy's there, he tries to stop me, but I'm connected to the mission, and I see to it that the kindness gets done. Now what about Malchus Shebachesed? So when it comes to Malchus Shebachesed, there's two ways to define Malchus. You could define Malchus Shebachesed as the action of action, because Malchus oftentimes means Machshava Dibur Ma'aseh, the act of kindness itself. So if you choose to go with that pathway, you would say Malchus Shebachesed means the act of doing chesed. In other words, I have to give you something, and I have to make myself give you something. So it's an action that leads to an action. I'm not sure exactly how you would philosophically separate the act of giving you and the act of getting me to give to you, but you could explain Malchus that way. But you could also explain Malchus as an emotion. And the emotion of Malchus is called a reimamus. Reimamus means I'm higher than you. But not I'm higher than you, I don't care about you. I'm higher than you and I'm responsible for you. No, there's a class of people that are called patricians. I think that's the word, patricians. Maybe I have the wrong word. People who are very rich, and they were born into wealth, and they're very important members of society. They're raised with a sense of obligation to the community. In other words, they just have an inner sense, I have to serve. You know, God has blessed me, or whoever, whatever they believe in, lahav, lavavi, avdalis, and they have an obligation. So my obligation to you is not because I share your pain, to the contrary. My obligation to you is because I don't share your pain. So the emotion of Malchus is when one feels completely removed from another person's situation, that motivates a kindness meirichuk. My distance from you motivates me to concern myself with you. If you and I were equals, I'd compete with you. And when you're down, I'll kick you. Like all competitors. But because we're not competition, I'm completely removed from you. There's a teva, the tendency of one who is above is that he's automatically, emotionally responsible for what's below him. But you see this with little children. You see this how people treat animals. There's a natural sense of responsibility, not based on a kinship, based on a distance. And the midah of Malchus is the feeling of being above, which is the motivation for the act of kindness. Okay, so I just did all 7 midas of chesed, presuming that chesed is a maaseh. Correct?
Are you going to go with the
So wait, that's next. So now let's say chesed is an emotion. The second word, which is the primary word, is an emotion. The feeling of love, right? What is the feeling of love? What is the feeling of love? It's the emotion of love. The emotion of love is connection. It says in Zohar, and it's discussed in Chassidus at length, Chesed ozalam kula yemin. Every emotion has love. Even anger, even hate. When I was a young kid, I had an Elter Abacher who I should really write down. He taught me a few things. Wise guy. I was very difficult to teach because I thought I knew everything, but he found a way to my heart, and he taught me things which, it's 35 years later. Pshutika mashmoi. In my head, those tapes play because they were so important. One of the things was he asked me one day out of the blue, what's the opposite of love? I said hate. He said, nope. So I got angry because he's making me look bad. I'm supposed to know it all. He said, the opposite of love is indifference. I don't care. You don't hate strangers. You hate people with whom you have a relationship. So the Zohar establishes a criteria. Every emotion begins with love. It's true. Every emotion begins with love. Because love means a sense of connection. One person, another person, when there's an emotional connection, A and B, there's love. Now, of course, the point of love is to act it out, right? But if we're going to go in this more sophisticated model, we're going to have to speak about chesed not on the behavioral level, but on an emotional level, okay? Now let's talk about the Eibishter, right? I love God. I love God means I have a sense of connection to Him. I don't love God means I don't have a sense of connection to Him. Now, can we say, us people sitting in this room, that we love Hashem? No, we're from Jews. We serve Hashem. But I don't think you're going to give me an argument if I tell you that the primary motivation for our service of the Eibishter is Kabbalah Seil, Bittul, Emunah. Loving Hashem is serious. A human being who's so engaged with Kodesh Baruch Hu that he has feelings of love is either very religious or very spiritual or both. An ordinary person is not that connected to Ruchnius, to Lakus. But that's what love means, the feeling of connection to Hashem. Now naturally, if you have feelings of connection to Hashem, you're going to want to please Him. You're not going to disappoint Him, and you're also not going to want to displease yourself by creating walls and separations between yourself and Him. But in this second model, we're not talking about the actions, we're simply talking about the emotion. So chesed means I love Hashem. What is chesed shebechesed? That the way my love to the Eibishter is expressed is through love. In other words, inside my heart, I feel love. Therefore, what you see is a love, is a passion. So I want you to think about what I just did over here. I played with your heads. I said something that deserves your attention, that perhaps if I don't bring it to your attention, you're not going to pay attention. Okay? What we're doing is we're creating two models for each of the midas, right? We're taking two models. The first, we all agree that the more important word is the second word. Agreed? Yeah, the more important second word. But in the first model, the second word is an action, and the first word is the emotion that motivates the action. In the second model, the second word is a feeling, and the first word is a feeling that qualifies the feeling, right? So now you have to think about this. In these two models, what's the pnimius and what's the chitzenius? What do you see and what isn't seen?
You see the second one, but
we talk about them separately. If the second word chesed means an action, what do you see?
You see the action.
You see the action. And the motivation is hidden, right? Now what about the second model? Where there's a feeling of love. But that feeling of love is complicated by a secondary emotion. That because I love you, you see a demonstration of love. So now what is the chitzonius and what is the pnimius?
Well, now the chitzonius is the feeling.
Is the secondary feeling.
Yeah.
They're both feelings. So there's a difference between the two models. Because in the first model, where the second word, which we all agree is the more important word, is an action, you see an action. The emotion that motivates that action, you either see or don't see. But it could be an emotion of chesed, an emotion of gevura, an emotion of tefedes, emotion of netzach, emotion of hate, emotion of malchus, yeah? But in the second thing, I feel in my heart love to you. But what do you experience? The way that love is communicated to you. So, if because I love you, I feel in my heart love, which means acceptance and tolerance and inclusiveness and not judgment, I demonstrate to you love on the outside, that's chesed shebechesed. But what if I have in my heart feelings of love and tolerance, and therefore I give you gvura? And gvura doesn't mean ra. Gvura doesn't mean evil. Gvura means I show you an emotion of judgment. I show you an emotion of discrimination, which sometimes can be very painful because the emotion of gevura says, you're not doing well. On other occasions, emotional gvura means, I love you, I'm not going to give you $1, I'm going to give you $1,000. I'm going to pay your rent. That's gvura shebachesed, because it's overflowing with the emotion of gvura. So what you're seeing is the secondary aspect. The love means I'm accepting you. You know why? Because if I didn't accept you, I wouldn't bother with you. If you're no good, I don't care for you. Midas HaChesed means I'm going to care for you even if you're not deserving. Gvura Shebechesed means, since in my heart I love you enough to love you in spite of your own failure, I will show you Gvura. Gvura could either mean emotions that say I'm judging you, I'm not happy with you, I'm disappointed with you, or it's takbeiras, I'm giving you so much. Because I accept you, I give you a gvura, more chesed than chesed shebechesed would give.
I don't really understand the second part. It's more constructive criticism. That part I get. That you view.
Well, we see, we're not talking about words, we're talking about feelings. When you talk to your siblings, you don't just say words, you express feelings. And they receive from you not just words, they can feel what you feel. So gvura shebechesed is a feeling that's strong, that's judging, that sits on a foundation of love. Then the person who's receiving that emotion of Gvura Shebachesed sees Gvura, feels Gvura, he hears words.
I just didn't understand like the positive spin on Gvura, like giving the $1,000.
Oh, the way Gvura works is Gvura judges.
So you can have positive judgment.
If you don't deserve, you don't get it all. But if you do deserve, you get not what I want to give you, but what you need. You understand? Chesed means I'm giving you $1. Why? It makes me feel good. Gvura means I'm giving you what you need. If you deserve it, so the same Gvura which judges and says I'm not giving you anything, judges and says I'm going to pay your rent.
So what would chesed should be worth?
Whoa. Don't you rush me. We're doing one at a time. We're doing mitzvah chesed. Right? So now what would be Sfiras Haomer? Chesed means I love you, which is a superficial emotion ultimately. Sfiras Haomer means because I love you, I guess the way you put it is I pity you. Because I love you, I feel for you even when you don't deserve to be felt for. In other words, I love you. And again, love is a very generous emotion. Love is not a very principled emotion. Gvura is much more principled than chesed. Love means like water. You put schmutz into water, you mix it around, the schmutz is diluted, it's a part of the water. Gvura means you take every piece of schmutz out and you put them in little dishes to say, oh, here's this schmutz, and then it goes in the garbage. So chesed is very tolerant. It's very inclusive. It's like water that dilutes. Sfiras Haomer means because my feelings towards you are feelings of closeness and feelings of acceptance, I show you rachamim. Rachamim means my compassion says I'm going to give you whether you deserve or not. That's Sfiras Haomer. And I just want to add that in Tanya Perek Tes, it's the only place in Tanya where you have this, and I've seen this in one Maimer. They say that Sfiras has two forms. Sfiras means I feel you. So when I feel you and your situation is bad, the emotion of Sfiras is Rachmanis. What if I feel you and your situation is good? So the emotion of Sfiras is Simcha. Look inside chapter 9, Perek Tanya. I'm happy for you. So if you're going to say Sfiras Haomer, where the second word which I think is the regesh, I love you. And because I love you, Sfiras Haomer means I'm happy for what's going on in your life. If it's good, because I love you. So what does the second person see? The second person sees the Sfiras. He doesn't see the chesed because the joy is covering over the love. So I'm just going to repeat one more time what I said. The difference between these two models is not only that one is an action and one other is emotion. But that in the first model, you see the ikir, and the tafel is motivating it. In the second model, you see the tafel, and the ikir is hidden underneath. You follow, right? If chesed shebechesed, if the second word means an action, you see the act of kindness, you don't see the emotion behind it. But if chesed shebechesed are both emotions, because inside there's a love, there's an external love, you see not the second chesed, but the first one. And the same is true in gvura shebechesed. If they're both emotions, you see the gvura, you don't see the chesed. And al derech zeh Sfiras Haomer. So now, what will be netzach shebechesed? Netzach shebechesed means I love you. And because I love you, I go to war for you. Or because I love you, I'll fight with you. Or because I love you, I'll fight with myself to put myself in a place that will be of service to you, even if there's obstacles, inner or outer obstacles. So, again, in my heart, there's a love, there's an acceptance, or as I said to you in the introduction, a connection. You and I are connected emotionally. But because you and I are connected, that encourages me to fight for you. That's netzach shebechesed. The symptom of my love for you is aggression, is the preparedness to fight. Maybe to fight with you. Why? I love you so much, I'm going to fight with you, not to hurt yourself. So on the outside you see aggression, you don't see love. But the motivation of the aggression is ahava. So what would be hoid shebechesed? What would be hoid shebechesed? I love you and therefore there's a stubbornness. I love you and therefore I'm implacable. Let me just think about your mother when you were 9.5. Yeah, you wanted to go out late. Yeah, I love you. And because I love you, and love means I accept you with all your shtickes and all your mishigassen. But because I love you, I am stubborn. I am insistent. I am unwavering in whatever position I take as a symptom of that love. So what do you see? You see stubbornness. Whether the stubbornness means I'm going to insist that you do something, or the stubbornness means I'm going to insist that I'm doing something for you, or the stubbornness means I'm not going to allow you to do something, or I'm not going to allow somebody else to do something for you, or I'm not going to allow myself to do something for you. But the emotion which is motivating, the hoid, is chesed. It's based on love. Love means acceptance. It's not a very deep emotion. I accept whatever you are. I love you. I love you whether you're good or you're bad or you're mixed, you're chant. But because I love you, I'm going to be emotionally stubborn to serve you in some way. Right? Let's use the Eibush as an example. Loving the Eibush that translates into Anakshanis. I mean, Beklolos, Haid is like Kabbalah Sale, really. Haid is like, I'm stubborn. I'm going to do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to be accepting of the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even if my mind said otherwise. My heart, I love the Eibush, therefore there's going to be a Haid Shebechesed Klapi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now, what would be Yesod Shebechesed? Chesed is a feeling of love. And Yesod is a feeling of connection to you, or to something that I need to do that benefits you. So because I love you, whoever I am, whoever you are, because I love you, which means I accept you, and I am emotionally disposed towards you, not in a very discriminating and not in a very deep way, but in a simple way, I like you. Because I like you, I am connected to what benefits you. That's what Yesod means. I like you, so nothing is going to stop me from helping you. Not I'm going to fight with it. Not I'm going to be stubborn. I'm not going to see it. Netzach means I'm going to fight with the enemy. Hoid means I'm not going to let the enemy stop me. Yesod means I'm not going to see an enemy. I'm just going to see a purpose. But it's a regesh. It's an emotion of I am connected to doing this for this person, or preventing this from happening to this person. I don't see enemies, I don't fight with enemies, I'm not angry at enemies, I don't engage with enemies, I do what I need to do, rooted in love. And again, the principle is constant in the second model, where both the first word and the second word are emotions. You see the secondary thing and not the primary thing. You see the Yesod Shebechesed, and you don't see the Chesed, which is behind the Yesod. Now, Lobi Malchus Shebechesed, yeah? So again, if chesed means love, you could say that malchus shebechesed means I'm going to do an act. Because you could say malchus is machshava diber ma'aseh. Because I love you, I'm going to do something good for you. But you could also say pnimiyas malchus, which is reimamus. What's reimamus? Because I love you, I don't let you get close to me. Because I love you, I create what they call a healthy, perhaps healthy, but it's got a distance at the end. But the distance between me and you is not a cold distance. It's it's the feeling of being high. I love you, so I'm going to raise myself above you. Not I love you, I'm going to raise myself above you because I'm an arrogant, you know what. Because if I'm arrogant and I raise myself above you, then I'm not loving you, I'm loving me. I love you, and therefore I create distance between me and you, a feeling of being above, because I know how that benefits you. But the fact of life is that, right, familiarity brings contempt. Being close to another person is not always the most constructive thing. Sometimes the distance is the greatest motivator. And that's what Malchus Shebchesed means. I love you. And because I love you, there's a distance between me and you. So you wanted to say it l'klapei dem Eibishter. When a Yid loves Hashem, all be Malchus Shebchesed. You can't say Malchus Shebchesed, I'm above the Eibishter. But Malchus Shebchesed could mean, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to say it, because I love the Eibishter, I'm above the world I live in. My love for the Eibishter inspires in me a feeling that I'm different than the people I live with. Not, Nebach, woe is me, I'm different than the people I'm with. But I feel better than them. I feel higher than them. My love for Hashem inspires in me a sense of distance from what's in my environment. So we did something very interesting. We did Midas HaChesed, did all 7 Midas, and I explained each one twice. In the first model, we explained that the second word, which is the key word, is an act. And the first word is a qualifier. But in the first model, you see the action. In other words, you see the ikir, and you don't see the tafel. In the second model, both words are an emotion, but the hidden word, the deeper word, is the second chesed. That's the emotion that you don't see. And what you're seeing is the chesed shebechesed, and the gvura shebechesed, the chitzonius. That's what you see on the outside. So the difference between the two models is that in the first model you see the ikir and the tafel is hidden, and in the second model you see the tafel and the ikir is hidden.
One thing is, like, I can understand that there's a distinction between the first and the second in the fact that in the second there's the action and the emotion, and the first category are one action, one emotion. The second are 2 emotions.
Right.
But isn't the emotion sort of need to be brought out with an action?
Of course. But it's not included in these 2 words. Because I love you. And as a concept of love, I feel an emotion that I'm going to fight all my enemies and your enemies to expected love. But that emotion is going to affect a third thing, which is going to be an action.
So let's just say it's stubbornness, yeah. So my act of being stubborn is because of my love.
That's right.
So you're saying it's two emotions.
And an act, right. Rather than one emotion and an action. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When you have Malchus Shebchesed, which is, you said that you separate yourself from the other person.
Right.
That you're doing that because
you love him.
You love him, and you know that's the best thing for him.
Right.
Even though it's going against the exact thing what love means. Love means be connected.
No. It's a symptom of connection.
Connection, love is connection, correct?
Right.
Because you're connected to him.
Because you're emotionally connected from him. You
yourself.
emotionally distance yourself, not behaviorally. Emotionally, you make yourself feel higher than him. You make yourself feel removed from him.
It doesn't mean in a literal sense?
No, it means in an emotional sense. Because if it's an action, then it's not a midah.
Right.
We're dealing with midas.
We're dealing with midas. Right, okay.